Yay. Hi, beautiful souls. Welcome to my 40-day yoga challenge, restorative yoga challenge. It's so nice to have you here. And today we are going to be moving into another hip opener and just really lingering, marinating. That was the word I was looking for. Lying down, just getting really deep, stretching deeply into the hips. So I really want to oh, there's an eagle overhead. We've had all kinds of birds visiting during this class. It's really interesting. Yesterday was a hummingbird, and today there's an eagle just soaring beyond the window there. It's gorgeous. Anyway, so moving deeply into a hip opener, and I encourage you to, when we get into the shape, to really just come to breath and do your very best to let go. So this is day 22. So good on you for being here and for working through this, because little by little, this will become a practice for you. And what I would like to do once this 40 days is done is to post some shorter practices, 45 minutes or so, where I'm weaving together a little bit of a warm-up and then 3 postures with a little guided shavasana at the end. So I will, I'll offer that once we're done. So today's deck is Earth Warriors. The guidebook is by Alana Fairchild, and this deck the artwork here is so beautiful. It's one of those, it's the kind of artwork where you can really get lost in the energy of the paintings. And there are many deities from different cultures, not necessarily all deities, but really beautiful spiritual traditions across many cultures. And some of the cards are landscape and some are horizontal, and it's a really beautiful deck. So I'm really looking forward to our card today. So whether you're lying on your back or you're in a seat, just come to breath and arrive, consciously releasing whatever's happened before this moment and just letting that go with an exhaled breath. And know that we can make these shifts with one breath. That's all it takes. Giving yourself permission to really dial down and create this space. Allowing whatever needs to happen in this next little bit just to happen. No expectations, nowhere to go, nothing to do, except be and to breathe. And I will be reading from the guidebook because the messages that accompany these cards are so very profound and beautiful. I was gazing at this card, the tiger, and above the tiger are the moon cycles, and this is the diamond tiger of the black moon. Second chances bring success. And here we are in the second part of this challenge. It's really gorgeous. I'm going to walk up to the camera just so you can look at it, because it's very, very beautiful. I hope you can see that. And I will post this, of course, on my community tab. So much energy, associations with the different animals. And from the tiger's third eye, there is a tremendous amount of light emitting, very activated Agnya chakra. And we are very new in this cycle of the moon. And a few days ago, I asked you to reflect on your intentions for this 14 days and how you can work and move toward those intentions. And so perhaps on this day, the message from the Black Tiger is to ask and inquire whether or not you've actually done something towards that, because this first part of the lunar cycle is the one where we act, where we step forward, where we move and we take actions toward our intentions. So this is card 37, and I won't read a lot, just a little bit. because the messages are detailed and illuminating as well. Your soul is on the diamond path of spiritual growth. You may feel pressured by life at times, but at a higher level, those challenge strength and physical power that you need for success, no matter what has happened in the past. You are developing the spirit, passion, and vitality to fight like a tigress defending her cubs. Believe in yourself. There is great dignity and strength in your heart. Beautiful. If you don't have a deck by Alana Fairchild, a guidebook, not the artwork, her guidebooks are really beautiful because they invite you into a practice with every single card and a meditation. And I will share a little bit more of that when I post the next 2 or 4 cards. We're going to, as I said, move into a hip opener. And I'm going to take you into a supported pigeon pose. On day 5, we did the deer pose. And I'm going to walk you through various ways to set this up, even if you have issues with your knees. Because I think a lot of the times the avoidance of the pigeon pose, and here we are in a very supported pigeon pose, people tend to just, I can't do that because of my knees. But let's see if we can get you into that. And if you can't, then I'll remind you of how to transition into deer. We'll start with the right hip, the right leg. And so extend the left leg back. And I suggest that you either get a block, a small block, a large block. And I'll show you from both directions. So my right knee is bent. And the left leg is coming straight back out of the hip. The top of the foot is on the floor, but in the restorative practice, the ankle is soft and the back leg is beginning to release the front of the left hip flexor. And you can see here that my right hip is quite a ways off the floor. One of the things in pigeon is that you want to make sure that you're not leaning to one side. And I see that a lot in various classes. And so if I place this underneath, you can see there's still a little bit of a gap there. And if I place this block here, it's a little bit high, but I can lean into it. And I'm adjusting the back leg so it's coming straight out of the hip. And then I begin to transition down. Now I'm going to show you from the front in a moment. My right ankle is relaxed. My right foot is relaxed. And then, because I'm quite high off the floor, something is going to be needed to help with something to lean on, something to relax onto. And very slowly coming down, finding that support. Just like in the child's pose, and then you can rest this way. Okay, so if that is too much torque on the knee, so at the front, your knee can be like this. Your knee can be right in close to the leg, or you can give yourself a little more space. Try not to knock the screen over. Find balance and find an angle where the knee does not feel like it's being compromised. If the knee is being compromised, you come right onto the hip and you shift this leg forward so it's parallel to the front of the mat. You can bring the back leg in and then come down to the floor this way. Okay, so I'm going to show you again from the other side. Something to lie on, something to go underneath the hip. When you are in an active class, it's important to have activation here so that this foot is engaging everything in the lower leg. And the reason for that is usually in a power class,
a more active class, you're not supporting your right hip. So shift the left leg back so you can begin to release into this posture. Place something, and then give yourself something to rest on. And you may need to, like we've done in many of the poses, bring the bolster up higher so that you can truly soften down onto the mat, and then soften the back leg and breathe into your right hip. And if this is not accessible because of pain in your right knee, then you go back to day 5 and you do the posture that we did on day 5. So just soften. Take deep breaths into your right hip, your right buttocks. And we've worked with a few different mantras. And for those of you that are enjoying that practice, the area of the pelvis and the hips, you may remember, is VUM. And so if that serves, you can inhale the mantra VUM and exhale VUM silently to yourself as you breathe. And again, you can soften the right foot, soften the back foot, and do your best to focus on the exhale breath. The back hips should feel even. You should not feel like you're leaning to one side or the other. We've done a few hip openers, all getting into slightly different parts of the glutes and the hips at the front and the back. And it's important to vary them so that you can work all of the tissue, not just the big muscles, but the fascia that wrap all around the front and the back of the pelvis. Inhaling VUM, exhaling VUM. The other thing I thought I would share with you today is, and it's something I may repeat from time to time, is there's different ways that the body begins to release energy. And just know that all of those are completely normal. And just to observe what's happening in your body and know that if these kind of things happen, it means that the body is beginning to release emotional or physical or mental tension. And that may be heat. You may experience that as heat or cold. Some people even experience a little like a shiver, like a shake in the body. Like if you're sitting somewhere and you accidentally fall asleep and then you suddenly wake up and you go, ooh, what happened? Like that kind of thing, a sudden twitch or shake in the body. It could bring up laughter or tears, or a series of sighs or yawns. Many of these postures afterwards will stir up your digestion, so you may experience shifts in your digestion. Deepen your breath. Really begin to soften and let go. If this is your dominant side, really amplify the breath. Give yourself permission to let go. Soften where you're able and let go. So the heat may be just like a heat flash, or it could be sweat. And the cold could be a shudder of cold. You might feel like burping or farting. However energy wants to release, allow it to release. Count 11 deep breaths. If you're still with the mantra, bum, release the mantra. When you feel ready, bring palms a little closer to the body. Head back to center. Remember when you go to the other side to gaze in the opposite direction. And then you can either remove the bolster now that's underneath your hip, or you can just do that later. You want to bring the back leg forward. We're going to take a moment to integrate. Extend both legs out front. You can shake the legs if needed. And just feel. Feel the right side. Feel the left side. Feel the difference in the prana flushing through one side as opposed to the other. It's quite a surge of energy. Okay, and then other side. The other thing that I didn't mention was that if you are very, very open in the hips, then your leg could very well, your leg may not be bent in this direction. You might actually have your leg open like this. We are working, opening the hips, working toward lotus pose, towards Anustambhasana, the fire log pose. And so the more square that the leg position is, right, the closer you are to opening in a deeper way. But for most people, the knee will be bent to some degree. And yes, there's a lot. It is encouraged that this ankle and this foot are extremely active, so you're not going to have any torque on the knee joint. And when we come into the restorative posture, it's supported. There's a lot of breath, and we encourage you to relax the joints as you move into this. So if you are coming into deer pose because this is too much on the knees, you simply have this shape with your legs. If you're coming into the pigeon, you're going to come up onto the back leg, place something underneath the left hip so that the torso feels balanced. And then take a moment to adjust the back leg. So you feel like the back leg, you can look as well, is coming right out of the hip. You don't want the back leg wandering over to the side. And if you're the front, if the right hip flexor is tight, you can pause. And then you can soften the back leg, soften the front leg. And then prepare your pillows, props, bolsters in the front. So that you can really just enjoy the posture. Lie down and get comfortable. breath by breath, softening and letting go. And again, the deer variation is on day 5 if you need to shift. Check in with your back foot, soften your back foot, soften the front ankle. And you can come to the mantra of if that was serving you on the other side. And as we move around the body in this 40-day practice, one of the things that's really interesting to journal about is just to observe in the body, in the physical body, is it always the left side? Is it the left shoulder that's tight, the left hip that's tight? There's a lot that can be gleaned from those kind of observations. When I do a supine twist, just noting whether it's the front ribs, the back ribs, if it's always the same rib. And just observing your journey as the body gently and slowly begins to open. And please know that in any of these postures, if you feel, sometimes the release can be quite sudden. I've actually been in classes where I swear I've heard the fascia go, the fascia have a fascial release. And it sounds a bit like crinkling cellophane, something like that. It's actually quite shocking, but it felt amazing. And so just like the breath, something shifting in one breath, sometimes these releases can happen quite quickly. I give myself permission to let go. I no longer need to carry the tension I hold in this part of my body. I move freely and with grace. So these are the kind of mantra that I run through my mind as I'm marinating in poses like this. And if you ever feel like I have shortchanged you on one side on a day that we're doing a posture with 2 sides, please make sure that you stay on the second side until you feel that you're done. And I encourage you to check in with your jaw. Open and close your mouth. Soften your tongue. Relationship between the tension in the hip and the tension in the jaw. And for today, we'll take 11 more breaths here. Come back to or stay with the mantra of or just deepen the breath. I'll repeat another phrase that has resonated with you. And then release the mudra. And very mindfully begin your transition. Then we're going to move into Shavasana. So very slowly, you can either bring the back leg forward and lie down this way, or you can move in the opposite direction. Just take your time, come right down to your back. Transitioning to bent knees with the soles of the feet on the floor, or coming straight into Shavasana. Adjust your shoulder blades. And then when you feel ready, go ahead and extend your legs. And feel the flush of prana through the whole hip area, including the buttocks. Give yourself plenty of time to integrate. And I encourage you to stay in Shavasana for at least 3 or 4 minutes. And I'm just going to come up and share with you a couple of more lines from that beautiful card. In astrology, the black moon refers to the unusual event of a second new moon in a month. As a sacred symbol in the language of the soul, the black moon represents either an emerging insight, which you have previously been able to glimpse, but not fully grasp, or a situation that almost happened as desired, but didn't quite make the full journey from wish to reality. The insight or opportunity will arise again in your psyche to either reveal or ground fully this time around. Diamond wisdom is fulfillment and is absolute. With another chance, your breakthrough will be irreversible, diamond-like in nature, unable to be changed back into the state from which it has evolved. Beautiful. So enjoy your Shavasana, and when you feel ready to come back, just do so mindfully and with plenty of breath. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Stay well. Namaste.